Good morning, everybody. It's Monday morning. Welcome back to the Coffee Workshop. This is Ben Jones from Batdorf and Bronson Coffee Roasters. I'm on the Olympia, Washington side. We do have the sister roastery in Atlanta, Georgia. So here we're going to brew a little coffee. I brought out my good friend, the little hot plate, which can only mean one thing. That is a revisitation of the Moka Pot. This is a classic brewer. It's, so you might refer to it as a heritage brewer. It's been around for a long time, and it really utilizes some great standard just coffee brewing theory. You have a place for hot water and a place for steeping and filtering the coffee, and then you have an upper chamber that will hold the brew. The magic of this is with this brew chamber down here, we put our hot water in here. We put our coffee grounds in this funnel cup, and you can see the filter holes. And then there's this pipe in the bottom. As the water heats, the pressure inside here increases, forcing water up through the pipe. It will then brew and extract flavor in the filter basket, and that will ultimately push up through this filter plate and then bubble over into the top portion. You can see there's a rubber gasket right on here, and on the base there's a safety pressure vent. So we are going to be using some pressure system, so it's just kind of fun. Let's start doing it. I chose the holiday blend today. I'm going to start by turning on my burner. I'm just going to put it to medium heat and let that start heating. It is freezing cold in the workshop today, and I have to turn off the heater in the shop and manage things because this is going to pull a little more electricity. So hopefully I don't, the wattage on this is too high. If the lights go dark, I'll have to run out and reset the breaker real quick. Shouldn't happen. Anyway, all right. So for starters, I don't know what size this cup is. This is probably like an 8, would be called an 8-cup Moka Pot. It's a big one. With any of the Moka Pots, you need to fill up your basket. You can't really do a half dose very well in here. So with this one, it's going to hold about 40 to 45 grams coffee. So I pre-ground a bunch here, and I'm going to use my AeroPress funnel to funnel that in. Otherwise I'm going to make a huge mess. Probably still will make a mess regardless. But there we go, got the bulk of that in. Now if you look, I'm not quite full, and you do want to be full when working with the Moka Pot. So let's just put a little more in there. The coffee has been ground to the fine side of drip. If you're too fine, you'll plug it and clog the filter and it won't pass through, and you can also lose quite a bit of coffee through the through little holes. All right, so there we are full. If you are someone who makes if you make espresso, you'll recognize that kind of that stock fluff finger grooming motion. Same principle there. We want to have a nice full basket. Yeah, there's a little pit right there. Let's just top that off. There we go. And I'll just bring that over. There are some people who like to compress their Moka Pot. I'm not a big fan of it. A couple reasons. One, as you can see the tamp here, it's not the right size to meet everything there. I like to just leave it nice and loose. If you have a tamp that fits that, maybe you have cut a circle of wood that fits that well, more power to you. By all means, continue doing that. So we're about right between 40 and 45 grams here is the standard for this, and I like these ones that have like kind of preset capacities. You fill up that basket and it's going to be close enough. And then in here, can't see because it's very dark, there's a line right about there. That's our fill line, and that will hold about 400 to 450 grams of water. It's a pretty thick line, so depending if you're going to the bottom or the top. So we're looking at a ratio of approximately kind of that 1 to 9, 1 to 10 if you're going by weight. But since the you kind of need to fill this, it kind of takes care of itself. All right, from here, what I want to do is I'm just going to, I've preheated water, and I'm going to start adding this in. Once you start adding water to this, it's going to get really hot. So I'm going to use, well, I'm just going to set it right onto my burner and bring it up to the fill line. There's so much steam, I can't really see the line. There we are, perfect. Studio lighting is not always the best for making coffee, but such is life. All right, so I have that on there. And then I'm going to put our coffee basket right on top. This is silly that I'm doing it on top of the burner. You don't have to do it on top of the burner. Let's pull that down. It will be hot though. Anyway, and then from here, we're just going to screw the top on. We want to compress that rubber gasket, so we're going to go nice and snug, but not tight. We don't want to crank this down. I don't have the torque specs, but snug. There we go. Added bonus. It's dry up here, and that metal's going to get hot, so I'm going to put just a small splash of hot water up here just to cover the bottom. That way when the coffee starts to boil over into the brew chamber, it's not going to hit just like hot metal, maybe a touch more. And this is just going to take a little bit of time. This is one of the reasons you want to use, preheat your water, because it will take quite a while to boil on that, or to heat up on there. I like to leave the lid open because you can really see what's happening there. I'm going to, I can't pull that much farther. I'm gonna pull you guys down off of the camera mount, and let's come down here. And I'm gonna have to flip this camera around 1 second here. I don't know if I can do that when I'm holding it, but what we're doing is we're just gonna watch. Sorry for the roller coaster. We're just gonna watch this for a little bit, and before long, we should start seeing that coffee coming right through. I'm getting some fun noises. The handle, especially if you're using a gas stove, try to make sure that handle stays off from directly above the heat. You don't want the heat to influence the handle. And there we go. So we're just letting that steep, letting that brew, letting that pressure build up. And here comes our first little bubbling over. It is very fun to watch. This is a fun brew method. Sometimes this Moka Pot is referred to as stovetop espresso, and that's a fair assessment insofar as it creates a thicker, richer, much more viscous concentrated coffee. We're using nearly half as much water. We're looking at 1 to 10 versus a 1 to 17 or 1 to 18 ratio. I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit. There we go. All right, thank you all for indulging my my handheld. Just want you to see that bubbling over. Yeah, I've got a little, somebody said they saw a puff of steam. I've got a little, I think it's time to replace the gasket because a little bit of water seeped out of the screw-on portion. Then right there, once it kind of stops percolating, we can just take it. Let's give it another moment. Just gonna pull it off the heat, and it'll still, because that water is nice and hot in there, it's still gonna continue to bubble and pulse through. But I don't want to keep running it with too much heat. If you're running it with continued heat, you really run the risk of over extracting the coffee. One thing I don't like about these stovetop espresso machines is they are aluminum, is the traditional construction on them. There are some models that have a stainless steel. We don't sell these at batdorfcoffee.com. We might have a few in our retail stores left over. If you have one, you definitely have one, right? But it's cool. They're fun. I don't like to drink them too much. Like I said, it's aluminum, and there's some concerns about leaching different things out of the aluminum. Everybody make their own choice on that. Just like with the AeroPress, right? Like the AeroPress started out clear plastic, had BPA and phthalates in it. Then they changed their formula and it is now BPA phthalate free. If you can find one of the stainless steel ones or one that's like been chromed and coated, that'd be a lot nicer. One of the other funny things about the Moka Pot is, in all the years that I've been helping people brew coffee, the biggest complaint I hear about Moka Pot, and this cracks me up. The number one complaint is when people clean them thoroughly, they never get a good cup of coffee out of it again. And that's been everyone I've talked to who's used any type of cleaning product, like if you any of the coffee cleaners, it does something. These are one of the few brewers that benefit from a patina. Most other ways of making coffee, if you have leftover coffee, old coffee tastes gross and mixing. But with Moka Pot, it works. Give it a good rinse, hot water rinse. Little, use your little bit of elbow grease with the fingertips to scrub that clean. Check on your gasket and replace gaskets periodically, but do not use any Purocaf or vinegars or even baking soda. I would be hesitant to put into here. So we have some coffee. It stopped bubbling around, so I'm just gonna close the lid, and I have my little tiny stovetop espresso drinking cup, and you can see that it is super hot, and I don't know if you can see coming off of that spout how thick and oily that is. And this is our holiday blend. I thought it was fitting, like it seemed like the right thing to make like a really nice, rich, thick coffee on a freezing, frigid, cold morning. It's a garage, it's a workshop, right? So concrete floors. It's kind of chilly on my toes, but this is gonna warm me right up. Someone's asking, how can you tell when it's done? There's a few different steps. Some people like to look for just the color. When the color shifts to a nice, like a yellow honey kind of color, when it starts to get light, they'll shut that off. So color-wise, like the craft bag color, once it starts reaching that, you can shut that down. When you see those light paper bag colors, there's not a lot of organic material remaining in the bean to extract. You don't want to over extract that. So when you reach that color, I like to go until the bubbling starts to kind of sputter a little bit. When I start to see those little bit of the break in the flow, that will reduce the amount of coffee you get. I still have some water in my bottom chamber that didn't get forced through, but I found that that's the way I like it once the stream starts to break up. So that's a way you can tell. And yes, the gaskets on bottom are replaceable. Rubber gaskets wear out with heat. That's just going to perpetuate the deterioration of the rubber. So the more you use it, the more you should replace it. Also, time. If you don't use it, you should replace it. It's much like tires on your car. I'm just going to scroll through the comments, see if there's anything else to address. It's a great way to brew coffee. Again, it's a heritage brewer. It's been around for ages. Brendan's asking, in what way does the patina of the old coffee benefit the brew? I'm not so sure that the patina itself is beneficial, but the cleaning I've seen to be detrimental. Again, I don't make a whole lot of Moka Pots. It's not my preferred style. Brendan's got a lot of comments. I better read more. yeah, he's wondering if the patina basically creates a coating that, you know, keeps the taste of the vessel out of the brew. That could be a part of it, that leaving a little bit of coffee oil and all that good stuff on there will protect the leaching of aluminum. For whatever reason, I'm an English lit major, studied English and writing, so if I have any scientists out there who know the answer to that question, I would love to hear that. Cool. It's good. Not my favorite brew method, only because, well, I mean, my personal preference is toward lighter, more delicate coffees. Not the actual bean, but like with the brew method. So paper filtered AeroPress, Chemex, the Melita style filtration. Personal preference there. But one of the challenges I have with this is that the technique, you don't have quite as much control over some of the variables. There's it's a lot less easy for me to see what's happening and to make adjustments. But it's brilliant and it's fantastic. This is a good, thick, creamy cup of coffee. Keeping me warm this morning, so let's pop, if somebody would, one of my backdoor friends out there, if you wouldn't mind popping in the comments a link to our holiday blend. It's a super delicious coffee. If you've been watching our videos all through the pretty much since March, I've been drinking the Colombia Las Brisas, which has been just my everyday. I love coffees out of Colombia, and Holiday Blend has a strong Colombian component in it. It's Colombian coffee from Guatemala, and some coffee out of Brazil. So it's hitting my palate. And I was asking, does this make a better cup than a vacuum pot? I prefer vacuum pot to this only because the vacuum pot will give you lighter body, more flavor clarity. Both of these brewers, I call them heritage brewers or spectacle brewers. The vacuum pot, got it up there. That's the one I pull out when, remember when we used to have people over and we'd have parties? Thank you, Brendan. This and the vacuum pot, people love to watch it brew. It's more of a show. Difference is high body, a lot of body out of the Moka Pot, much lighter body out of the vacuum pot. That's because of the filtration method. Both are a little bit more finicky to tweak and manipulate your variables. If you're into experimenting and tweaking things up, the vacuum pot's going to give you a lot more flexibility. You can control agitation, how much you're stirring in the upper chamber. It's a little easier to control the heat because you can see the amount of water that's remaining. In the same way that an espresso machine is kind of a black box mystery, this is a bit of a mystery too, because we can't see through the brew body there. Those are my thoughts on Vac Pot and Moka Pot. They're both great, and as always, if you like the cup of coffee you're getting, it's the right cup of coffee. So, and for this morning, this is the right cup of coffee. I'm going to try this again with pardon me a moment. Good old diner mug. This is my preferred cup to drink from, so I'm going to go about a quarter full of that, and then we're just going to, this is going to get a lot closer to the texture and the delicate flavor that I like for my everyday drinking. And it's very hot, so I'll let that set for a moment. But anyway, thank you all for joining me today. Monday morning. I'll be back on Friday. Be sure to tune in throughout the week. Josh and Brendan are doing some really fun stuff as well. Make good coffee. See you next time.